Hello class, and welcome to today's art lesson on Emily Carr trees. Here I am using pencil to draw my original drawing. So I started with the foreground, drew my large trees in the foreground, then I drew the middle ground with some medium-sized trees, and then the background with the smaller trees behind. Here I am outlining the trees using a black pastel to help create that defined Emily Carr style. She would have been using paint, but for the sake of today's lesson, we are using pastel. We are blending the pastel. So in the background, we are using white with a little bit of brown to create that nice light color that's in the background. As things are far away, they look lighter, and as they come forward, they look darker. So here in the middle ground trees, I'm adding a bit of darker brown, adding some white to give it some texture, and blending the colors together. And you'll notice as you go back to the pastel with another pastel on top, it becomes more muddy and a little more blended and smooth. The thicker the pastel, the better for this style of art. You want it to look like paint. So here in the foreground, I'm using a little bit of white as my base and then building it up with a lighter brown and then a darker brown on top. And then really just blending the colors using the pastel. Then I'm going into the background and adding blue for the back, the sky, and then a little bit of yellow on top, giving it that look of light kind of shining down through the tops of the trees. Going back in with the blue and blending that yellow and blue and white together. Then I'm doing the canopy. So the bottom of the leaves is of course the most shaded because it has leaves sitting on top of it. So that's your darker greens. And then as it gets closer to the sun, those greens look brighter. So you just blend on top of green, going to like a more limey color, and then even maybe putting some yellow in there. Going back over it with another medium green to kind of blend it all together. Same thing in the background. We've got the grass, the lighter grass further away. So I'm using a little bit of medium green and then some limey colored green and then some yellow and some white to make it light. In the middle ground, I'll be using a little bit of green and white and a medium green. And then in the foreground, I start to bring in those darker shades of green. And even in the foreground, I then start to bring in a little bit of blue to make it really look shadowy and rich. You can see the varying greens coming forward to the foreground, getting darker as it comes closer to you. Then I just touch up a little bit, adding some more green here and there so that the colors aren't varying too much. And there you have it. Emily Carr trees. Enjoy!